Good morning, good morning. We are in the tarot study of the Hermit, original Rider-Waite, Wildwood Tarot, Tarot of the Abyss. Let me know if you have any questions about any of these. The Star Tarot and the Wandering Star Tarot. And then today's card is the Winter Tarot. Look how shiny it is, though. Like, that's my only, like, whatever it's called, critique or whatever it is about this deck is it's just so shiny. I don't like it all shiny. I like matte. I like a good matte finish. But I like the card. And it reminds me of, you know what it reminds me of? Her hair. It reminds me of the troll in the woods in Raleigh. It's like her tail. It's like the mama's tail or somebody's tail or something. I think goes all through the woods, wrapping all the way through the woods, and then the little baby at the beginning of the trail is holding on to it. I think I can't remember exactly, but that's what it reminds me of. If you haven't seen that, come to that's in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's very cool. I don't think they've moved those. I think it's there to stay. All right. So that's the Winter Hermit from the Winter Tarot from Seasons of the Witch. You've probably seen the Oracle things. That was new this past year, I think. And I just saw yesterday that they are coming out with a new deck, an Autumn, I think it's called, Tarot. That's going to be not coming out until August. Today's book that we're going to read is Tarot as a Way of Life. Okay. The Hermit. In the earlier process of ego building and confronting instincts in our unconscious and our innate religious function, represented by the Hierophant, has been functioning in the background. In strength, for example, we have been able to develop a sense of awe, following the discovery that there are forces in our psyche that are greater than that of the ego, forces that need not be seen in terms as good or evil. This sense of awe and the feeling that there is something more induces us in the phase of the hermit to go on a personal search for universal values and laws, stripped of external rituals or any dogmatic approach. In some ways, you can say that the Hierophant seeks personal fulfillment in the phase of the hermit. Therefore, the hermit chiefly represents our need to experience the spiritual and religious in an individual, holy, personal manner, and thus to make sense of life in general and of our own life in particular. In some extent, the hermit is an undemonstrative card. Outwardly, nothing much seems to be going on, but inwardly, there's a certain restlessness and the urge to conduct a search. Amen to that restlessness. Fresh interest can make their appearance, especially those that have to do with anything profound. Out of these interests, there develops a different view of everyday affairs, which generally assume less importance. When you experience a feeling that you are part of a greater whole and that life is manifesting through you, it matters less whether you are well thought of or not. Your inner window becomes clearer. Also, on the basis of what you feel and read and hear and experience, you can move towards other goals in which social success yields to making sense of life and to doing something meaningful. Internal activity is so important in the period of the hermit that one runs the risk of paying too little attention to one's immediate environment, so that conflicts can arise with those with whom one lives or works. As a psychic process, the hermit can produce an inspiring period, a time in which we look at things more and more from another dimension. This dimension could be called cosmic, but we need to be careful in this phase. Above all else, the hermit depicts our journey of discovery, which in the world, the final card, can result in the integration of the religious card and the mundane. The hermit himself scans, questions, seeks, researches, allows himself to be borne along the wings of philosophy and cosmologies. and in this fashion forms his own picture in his place in life, perhaps to be followed by making this concrete, his place in society. Thus, a hermit can certainly indicate very practical social visions, but behind them there will always be a process of probing and searching. The danger inherent in stopping at the stage of the hermit is that they gradually losing contact with reality. Metamorphically speaking, we are walking on air. Because a hermit naturally has little involvement with the outside world, he seems in his negative expression to cut the umbilical cord linking him to ordinary life and to live at a maladjusted eccentric whose vision no longer has any plane that is tangent to reality. In such a state, one runs the risk of becoming a phony guru, with delusions of being the special mouthpiece of the cosmos, or of suffering from a decay of the ego, which becomes lost in a sea of spellbinding dreams, whereas a true hermit has an open mind and is prepared to take on board positive criticism and to check it out. The negative hermit simply refuses to listen anymore, but forces his ideas down people's throats and will not brook contradiction. He does not make room for others, and if anyone asks a friendly critical question that is meant to be constructive, he stigmatizes him or her as ignorant or hostile. Discussion is out of the question. Admittedly, the true hermit is inward looking, but the negative hermit settles down in this process and becomes increasingly desperate to convert the world to his own point of view. What he fails to see is that his inner uncertainty has taken such a form that not only by convincing the world can he convince himself and preserve a false sense of security. Nothing remains of any crystallization of religious feelings, and life appears to be more and more enmeshed in all the things he is fanatically trying to exclude. However, the positive hermit gains an insight into his place in the greater whole and is prepared to put this insight into practice in everyday life. Amen. And so it is. There again, Tarot as a Way of Life by Karen Hamaker Zondag. And here again is the shiny winter hermit. Look at the white stag. Oh, love it. Much love. See you tomorrow.